Hi, I'm Cecilia Perkypile, and this is my Module 6 video response. Often mentioned throughout both chapters, the uniqueness of each individual and their life experiences are just as dynamic and important as the specifics of disability, condition, and impairments. This wisdom should be remembered in development of students' IEPs, 504, and tiered support plans. It is also imperative for educators and parents to not get stuck on diagnosis criteria and think of diagnosis as being a means of pointing out the right direction to find data-driven research for supports, aids, and services. It is especially important for educators to remember how systematic and racial biases limit many students in receiving assessment, having those assessments be fair, and how these biases prevent many students from receiving appropriate supports, services, and specialized education. To assure all students progress in high expectation education and classroom community, these biases must be habitually addressed by diligently providing equity within the classroom and school-wide community. Students with multiple disabilities covered under the protection of IDEA are assessed as having a multitude of educational needs that can't be accommodated by solely addressing one of their concomitant impairments. IDEA categorizes students with hearing and visual impairments in the category of deaf-blindness. These students have specific and complex communication, educational, and developmental needs due to the concomitant hearing and visual impairments experienced. These students cannot be accommodated in special education programs that are solely specifically for deafness or specifically for blindness. Traumatic brain injuries are defined as acquired impairments resulting from an external force that led to total or partial functional disability, psychological impairment that affects educational performance to a substantial measure that supports and services are required. First point is determining the severity of the TBI. Depending on the individual, severity of the TBI, and location of the injury, impairments closer resembling learning or intellectual disabilities, communication, emotional, behavioral disorders, and other various health impairments might exhibit themselves. As students make their way through healing, support needs will often lessen or change. This is why it is so important for students to receive thorough assessments in the main 5 categories, but also why continual assessment and progress monitoring is imperative. Chapter 14 focuses future educators on IDEA requirements, causes, and needs of students who have physical disabilities and/or other health impairments and aids to empower educators in providing educational programs, classroom instruction, and environments that support the successful progress of all students and equitable classroom participation. Students with physical disabilities, as defined by IDEA, are defined as individuals with orthopedic impairments, including congenital impairments caused by disease that cause muscle contractures. According to IDEA, other health impairments are health impairments that cause limited alertness to educational environment that affects the child's educational performances. For the most part, these are internalized chronic health impairments that are not so obvious to observers even when individual may be experiencing symptoms. Individuals with these conditions may have more obvious afflictions like those of the tonic-clonic seizures experienced by some individuals with epilepsy, alongside afflictions that are less obvious for observers. This is why it is very important to fairly assess and make accommodations for those individuals who may otherwise suffer in silence. Spina bifida is classified into 3 main categories, increasing in severity. The most severe form results in alterations in brain development and physical and cognitive impairments. Often, individuals experiencing extreme conditions are prone to bathroom faculty difficulties. These supports are usually specified within the student's IEP plans, and not adhering to these supports could lead to serious infections. Some of the most common difficulties experienced by individuals with cerebral palsy include developing fine motor, speech, language, academic, and interpersonal skills. To prevent social isolation and promote inclusion inside the classroom community and in other community settings, educators must partner up with professionals, research evidence-based practices and devices, and insist on providing IEP supports that can help your student who experiences physical impairments actively participate. Some epileptic students experience absent seizures, topping out at hundreds of times per day. This leaves large gaps in learning instruction that teachers and fellow students may never even pick up upon. Most common treatments for students that fall within the other health impairment category are in the form of medications. As a future educator, it is detrimental to know the signs and struggles for your students and the side effects and proper administration of these medications. Carefully read through and understand students' IEP 504 epilepsy asthma action plans and know when to call emergency help. In the event of an episode or asthma attack, your child's life will count on it. In Chapter 13, one of the ways to encourage AAC use in the classroom and engagement with peers is for AAC communication trained practitioners to include student peers in the use of and prompting and modeling of AAC devices. This takes away stigma of their use. Enlisting all students to encourage and help with student usage of this device encourages the student to use the device over possible behavioral outbursts and to use the device to participate, engage with peers in class and within their community. From previous learning modules, it was easy to see how the utilization of high leverage teaching practices, universal design of learning, is imperative in supporting these students for attaining education within the general education classroom, setting students, parents, and teachers, etc., for success in creating an inclusive and equitable classroom environment and community where students with disabilities are fully immersed, adding their strengths within the classroom community. I hope you will pause and take a look at this and take a deeper dive into what good teaching practices can promote for all students within your classroom. And thank you.